Hello and welcome to the Car Care Nut Shop, and welcome back to the Altezza. Should we say it? We're gonna say it. We're gonna say it, and we're gonna commit to it. It's gonna drive tonight. That's what's gonna happen here. Got the radiator, got the seals that I didn't order. Things happen. We're gonna put this completely back together today. I am done. We need to get this car done. We have everything we need to get it running again. So, to give you a small update, small cheat code that I used here. I did get the compressor back on because there was no way for you to see what I was doing, and it is a very long fight to get it on. It's on. It's good. We're ready to go. Let's get to work. So before we get started, before we install our crank seals, here's what I'm going to do. With some editing magic, you see all this oil that's all over the place? Here and all that. With some editing magic, that's how this is going to look like. To this. Did you even know that that part was actually silver? That's aluminum. How about that? So, now that we got this far, finally got the correct cam seals, or the missing cam seals. The crank seal was actually correct. You know, in the previous video I said I may have ordered a crank seal for a red top or single vvti beams, but no, it was the right one because they both have the same seal, at least according to the parts manual. So we are good on that one. Let's install this seal. It just goes on here. So the cool thing is, this is what I like about this. You're actually not installing the seal against the cam. You're actually installing it against the gear. So installing it is super simple. It's already installed. A little bit. Yep. That one is in. Let's install the next one. So this one. Huh, how about that? Never thought I'd install cam seals by hand. That's it. This one is in. Well, now I think we're ready to install our vvti gears. Let's do that. So here's the exhaust gear. And you may notice that we kind of shuffled things around the shop because we have something incoming that's going to take that entire space over there. More on that in another video. But here's the cool thing about this. The cam seal that we installed actually rides right here. Checking the surface out. This looks beautiful. You may see a line here, but that line is normal. It's just there's no groove. That's pretty cool. The only thing that we will do is swap this gasket, which is now stuck. There we go. Actually, it's not terrible shape, but I usually recommend you do replace it. This is the same thing on the IS300 with the vvti gear. Single vvti gear. It's the exact same gasket. Just replace it. There we go. This one is ready to go. Not going to install that yet because that's just the cap. This is the actual gear. So let's go install it. There we go. Before we get all excited, I just noticed that we don't have a fender cover on this car. Alright, let me find the torque spec for that and we'll install it. And that would be 75 Newton meter. I'll tell you where I'm getting these torque specs in a bit here. So, let's find our 75 Newton meter. I need a better angle. Yeah, there we go. That one's good. This little cap. Emma. Better find a socket for it. What size are you? Oh, first try. I like that. This one is going to be the 23 Newton meter variety. That's it. This side is done. Now let's get the other side done. The intake. I'm going to do the same thing here. Swap over this gasket, which is exactly the same. Is it exactly the same? It does visually not look exactly the same. Okay, so it is not exactly the same. That's going to be a problem. They just changed the design halfway because clearly shows it in the manual it's the same. And it does fit. This one, the middle part is exactly the same. It's just the outer part's a little bit bigger. I think this shall work because that's what they show in the manual. Maybe they changed the design or something. Okay, well, let's install it. Okay, this one is good. Come on. And this one doesn't want to start. Why don't you want to start? This one's also the 23 variety. Now here's a decision that we can make together. Do we install the timing belt, then put the valve cover? Or do we put the valve cover, then the timing belt? I'm gonna vote, let's put the timing belt on, because in case we need to turn something, we'll be able to turn it easily. I think that's a better option. But before we do that, we have to get our idlers and kind of everything situated before we do that. So let's get to that. So let's install some of our idlers here. Got them new. This one is a GMB brand. This one, which doesn't have a direction. Yep, does not have a direction. Goes right here. Hopefully. See, the book I have doesn't give me a torque spec, but we're gonna roll. Now here's something interesting that I noticed about the second idler. Now that I have the new one, we took the pulley out. It actually comes with the bracket. So let's get that bracket out, which is right there. Bracket is uh-oh, something fell off. That fell off. I think I see it. Huh. Does that go in here? Yes, it does. Okay, well, I guess the new one comes with that, so we don't need that. That's a very strange design, I gotta tell you that. Very strange. And they have this random bracket sitting here. Also no torque spec on this. Just gonna hope for the best. That's it. Now we get to the biggest hurdle that we had initially. The rear tensioner. Now this one is pinned, so I'm hoping this wouldn't give us as hard of a time, but it is going to give us a hard time. This is the wire harness here. That just sits here, and the tension of the tensioner or the belt is going to push on it. So also no torque spec for this one. Still moves though. Okay. Now I have already, before we started, I set these at top dead center. And the bottom one as well, there's a mark. So these, you have the mark here, line here, mark here, line here. Over here, I marked it with a pen because there's a tiny little dot here that my eyes can't see. I had to pull this out again to see it. And there's an arrow right there. So we'll find out. We'll be able to verify this stuff once we get the belt on and we spin the engine. So here's the belt. Now, this is not a Toyota branded belt. It's a Mitsubishi or whatever you call it. Here it is. Mitsubishi, not Mitsubishi. Big difference apparently. So, with that, I think we already made a mistake because the belt goes inside the tensioner. Remember that weird part? So let's take that out. I don't think we have to take it all the way out. Maybe just the nut. And pull it out. See if I can fish the belt in there. So the belt's gonna go. Man, this wire harness is really in your way when you do this. It's not terrible, but it's just like, what are you thinking, guys? This could be better. But again, they were thinking, but not of us. This doesn't feel right. I just gotta say that. This belt doesn't fit here. Huh. How did this belt go? Because let's look at the old one here. This belt doesn't fit here, so it can't go here. I think it just goes here, maybe? It's kind of strange. Let's go back to the drawing board a little bit, because this is strange. So they were thinking I was not. It's the opposite. It's what doesn't make sense. How are we gonna do this? Put this underneath. Go in. Come on, you can do it. This goes here. And then inside. And out. There we go. That's how this goes. Very, I want to say cool. It's actually kind of a stupid design if you ask me, but how do I know? Okay, well, there's that. Tensioner's in. So do you see how the belt goes through the tensioner? Well, not through it, but between the stud and the tensioner. So you actually can't install it without the tensioner being loose, which is a very un-Toyota-like design. But hey, could be worse, could be a lot worse. So this is gonna go like so. And the last part that is strange is gonna be this one. Okay, so this turns. We can do it. It's like you need 3 hands for this belt. Why aren't you going in? Right on the mark, but I feel like the crank needs to move just a hair. Just a little hair. Just a hair. Let's see if that hair is enough. Still in time? Yes, we are. Let's see if that does it. Do it. You can do it. Yes, you can. Good job. Okay, that's actually exactly what I wanted, which is the slack where the tensioner is at. Tensioner is right here. Looks right. Is it right? I hope so. In all honesty, I'm gonna go and check the video because the picture that I found, and I'll show you where I found it, is not great. We'll be right back. So the timing belt orientation is right, but let me show you something. So this pulley is an afterthought. They needed to push the belt in just a little bit so it wouldn't slap on the covers. They put that idler. I think so, because that idler just literally barely touches the belt. I mean, look at this one, how it wraps around it. This one, he just barely touches it. I don't even think that idler spins at times the speed of the belt because it's barely touching it. But that's how they deemed it. So this mark is perfectly on. We're gonna double check it when I put the bottom cover. We have the crank pulley and the 0 mark. We'll spin it. We'll make sure these line up. But these are lined up now. This is something about this engine. So after we did the first part, I kind of dove into it. This will be, I look at the picture, looked at it for a while. Because this moves, because this is a vvti gear, this will be, can't be half a tooth off. That doesn't exist. So it's on. So without further ado, we're going to pull the pin or the tensioner. So we got all our, whenever you install a timing belt, put your slack. Do you see how I have so much slack here? How this belt is almost loose here? But it's tight here, and tight here, tight here. Now we're not talking like guitar string tight. This is not how you want it. But it is definitely a lot looser here than it is here. So when I pull the tensioner pin, which is now not wanting to cooperate with me, because we're going to have to negotiate with it a little bit. Let's negotiate. That's how you negotiate. Don't cut it. Pull on it just like that. And then the harness will be in your way, of course. There it is. Now that I pulled it, my slack is gone. Now everything feels the same. I think we're good. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the bottom cover on. I'm going to put the crank pulley. I'm going to spin this engine all around and make sure when we're at 0 at the bottom, the top marks are correct. That tells me we're good. Before we install that cover though, you do have this little guide. So I hope it goes there. It does. Right? It doesn't look right. And I don't want to push it. Yeah, that's not right. Wonder if the bolt got swapped out by mistake. Let's look at our bolts. Yes. We have a bolt that is suspiciously shorter than the rest. Oh, it's not the right bolt. Never just push a bolt all the way unless you've done this 100 times. There we go. It's much better. That guide looks like an MZ engine guide. It's exactly the same setup. Sits here, and then where do you go? Right there. What was that sound? There it is. This wire clips on here. We're not going to clip it yet because we have a small problem here. See these two bolts, this one and this one is the same length. This one is a lot longer. That's not where that goes. How about here? Yeah, I think this may be it. Just a good measure. This is not it. This is not it. Yeah, it has to go here. See how much it went in compared to the rest? Versus this one, just literally right at the surface. Yeah, stuff like that is self-explanatory. This clips into here. There we go. Beautiful. Now I've already cleaned the bore of this with Scotch-Brite, so I can install this. Doesn't want to go. Why don't you want to go? Why don't you want to go? That's the problem, that keyway. I tried to clean it. Something going on with it. I have a feeling somebody's been here. Well, it doesn't appear so, and if they are, it's been a long minute. Think they deformed it. And when that happens, there is no way to undeform it. Let's tighten this. Oop. Let's just hope now, because I don't like where that's sitting. It's not at 0, which is a concern. I'm gonna spin it, arrive at 0 again. Let's hope. So we're at 0, about 180 degrees off. I have a feeling I'm gonna be off time, I'll be honest with you. That's 0. Yeah, see, we arrived at the same thing, so this engine was not off time. See, this cam, it's gonna be impossible to see it on camera. This cam is perfectly lined up. You see how we're gonna follow this mark straight to this line? This is the same line. Now this one, when you follow this, which is this one, it is like, ends up like right here. Well, which one is it? Is it half a tooth off? It can't be half a tooth off. And that's how exactly it was when we took it off. Now, what I can do, I'm gonna take a picture, because the picture looked correct. I'm gonna take a picture of each one. See, this one, if you go to the side, it shows completely different. That's the weird part. You gotta take the picture perfectly on. And this one looks completely off when you look at the picture. When you get here, it's on. When I look at it with my eyes, it literally looks like it's half a tooth off, but that's what we had to begin with. So if I find that picture, you gotta help me find it. I want to show you. I don't know if it's gonna be. So this one was straight on. Do you see it? And then this one was just, it's on. It's like just barely like half a tooth off. That's not possible. And that's what we have right now. So I am very nervously going to call this good. Yeah, because if I move it this way, it's gonna be completely off the other way, and that's how we took it off. This is very strange, I have to say that. Because if I take the belt, like this rib, move it all the way here, this mark will end up here, and that is way off. So it's literally half a tooth off. So engines that are like that, 2GR loves to do that to you in one bank. 3UR, 1UR, all the UR series engines, they love to do that to you. And now this one. We're good though. I think at this point I'm comfortable enough with everything that I'm seeing here. I think it's time to do the valve cover. So let's dive into that. We're going to do some cleaning off camera. Here's what I will do though. Just looking at this, we got 1/2 moon. We have another one. Yes, 2 half moons, folks. Whenever you do a valve cover on a Toyota, you gotta get these out. Let me show you how to pop them off if they're stuck. So you take a socket, put it right at the edge of the half moon, and tap it. you'll spin it. Now this one is super stubborn. There we go. See how it's spun? Now you pull it. That's a half moon. Got to put sealer here because these love to leak. Most of the time, this is what leaks more than the valve cover. And some engines, like the old school 1UZ, like the original 1UZ, and then the 5VZ, I believe 3VZ as well, they'll have another plug right underneath that. They'll have this in separate spots, and then they'll have a big round plug. Those also got to get resealed. So I'm going to pop the other one off. I'm going to clean all this, clean the valve cover, get ready, just to save you guys some time in the video. And we'll cut back to when we're actually putting it together. We got this cleaned up as much as possible. Of course, you can never make it look like new, although we're working on that. Let me just give you a sneak peek. Yes, I did. Let's put the gaskets on. So this one has a strange double gasket deal. So this one goes right here. Beautiful original gaskets, folks. If you put anything on your Toyota but original gaskets, I ask you to reconsider. They make some of the best gaskets. Like, you go look at some of the high horsepower builds, Supras and whatnot. You'll see that they use original gaskets and seals and everything else, unless they have something modified, because they're truly good. They're good quality. They last. You don't have issues with them. Why reinvent the wheel? This one goes right here. All right. Well, this part of this maze is done. Now we gotta put the half moons, which this one was the I was gonna say passenger side, driver's side. We're backwards here. Put a little bit of sealer here. Let's go install it. This side in. Ooh, what a tight spot, this one. There we go. Let's do the other one. Exact same way. Okay. All right. Now we're going to take our sealer, put a little bit on the edges where it is at. This one is going to be interesting. There we go. Now we're going to put a bead here and a bead there. There we go. This valve cover now is ready to go. Now before we put it on, I ordered these hoses, but they did not arrive, and I can get them at a later time as when I get the car driving and movable. So let's do this. Why aren't you going? I can't say it better than that. Only problem is this guy. There we go. We're good. It's in place. We have a lot of long bolts, one short bolt. So I am assuming this one is a short bolt. Yes, it is. Now this valve cover is strange. It doesn't have absolutely nothing to line it up. It's strange. Again, if this turbo was not here, this would be a lot easier. So talking to the customer a little bit about this, when we talked about various stages of this repair, he believes this is a discontinued Grady kit. Don't quote me and him on that. That's what he thinks about this kit. It may not be. And the second thing I want to say, and this is something kind of a rant to you guys, because some of you slightly went off at the owner for neglecting the car. Folks, you just got to remember one thing. The owner of this car just got this car, so he kind of inherited the coolant situation that he was not aware of at all. So he just got it, drove it for a few weeks, and put brakes on it, and it's here. So let's be nice. That's all I'll say. I'll tell you. If you knew that, I don't think he would have driven it for a couple weeks. So I'd mention that because he's such a nice guy. Well, that's in. Now we can breathe. Before we breathe, we got to remember where everything goes, which this coolant hose looks like it goes right there. I just have a feeling we're going to take this off very shortly. I feel like we're forgetting something. Yes, we are. Unless, no, maybe not. If I can get this in, you don't have to. Now, some of these connectors are broken and they may not sit right. Unfortunately, this is the part that we're going to have to spend extensive time to see which are the right connectors. And now I am kind of doubting that we have to. Some of these, see, this one doesn't want to go in, doesn't want to lock. Yeah, this one is broken, I figured. So here's what you do in this situation. This is a very easy connector to replace. It's sitting right here. If I leave it the way it is, it's gonna, with vibration, do this. So here's what you do temporarily. Not gonna do it yet because I don't want it, but you put a little bit of sealer here. Now, you'll see this on everywhere online. Put the zip tie, and folks don't do that because that zip tie, everybody shows you how to put it on. When you go to take it out, you're gonna destroy the connector to get it out. I just thought I'd say that now because I've seen this circulate a lot. And yeah, so just thought I'd let you know on that. So it's gonna go there. Instead of doing all that, just spend some time, get the right connector and fix it properly. I think the coils are gonna go on next. Now we do owe this car some spark plugs. Unfortunately, we couldn't get them in time. So I will have to come back here at some point and replace them because they were not very happy. Let's put it this way. We are slightly entering a race of time with this car because winter is around the corner. This car needs to go to hibernation for the winter. So we need to get it done. Whatever is going to delay us beyond this point, going to have to wait till springtime. We got the main stuff. Spark plugs are very simple. PCV hoses are simple. Although I am thinking if everything is right, because we were supposed to get a shipment this week for the parts of the Century we talked about in the last episode. I believe, and I didn't get a chance of the last update, I believe the PCV hoses are coming with that. But until I have them in my hand, I won't make plans. It's just how things coming out of Japan works. That's on. We have this ground here. No, that's right. Okay. Whatever this was. Don't even recall. Oh yeah, there was a connector here for the sensor. Here's another one that doesn't want to sit. This one I may have good luck relocating it. It just looks very familiar. Now I think we got everything with the valve cover off. We do have a few brackets that I gotta figure out where they go. That's about the only thing missing, which gonna be a minute because we gotta stop right here, figure out where this goes. You know, one of them goes right here. So you see, this was unfortunately a broken piece, which we're not going to be able to salvage. The harness. But please put the nuts. Okay. Now I only have one bracket and one bolt left. This is the piece that broke off of this harness. I have a feeling this bracket went somewhere here, because this is not a Toyota bolt. So where did this bracket go? Did it go right here? Why did it go right here? I'm gonna have to spend some time and figure out where these are before we move on, because I have one bolt and one bracket. Gotta find where they go before we move on. So we discovered where that goes. That's actually for the harness. This is how you don't leave bolts behind. I mean, we would have figured this out anyways when we don't find the bolts for that, but you see a bolt, you don't know where it goes, stop, start looking before you continue. Let's get this cover on, and this one is interesting. So if I remember, we had a bracket here. It is. Okay. We had a bracket for this harness over here. And then another one over here. Last two, one of them was difficult to get to. Yeah, I remember that one. Now, I think we can put these brackets that gave us a hard time. Here is one of them. I don't think this is original at all. I pulled this bolt. I think they put the bracket here to hold this harness because it's broken, which works. Where is this one? Here it is. Okay. Well, look at that. Looks like a car again. Now I am wondering if we should put the dipstick at this point or after the belts. I am gonna vote after the belts. Let's install the first belt, which is this one, which there it is. Now we tighten this guy. Should bring the whole thing forward. Let's tighten this belt. Just a little bit more. That's good. That belt is on. I can't get to that. Can't get to the bottom one either. Now we do have a, how should I say it, an elephant in the room coming up, which is gonna be our hose. I'm trying to pretend it's not a problem until it is, but that's coming up because that's buried all the way down there. We have to attach it. But let's forget about that for a second. Happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. Okay, that's good. Now here is the very unpleasant part, which is going to be this one. Now, this would be very easy if the turbo pipe was not here, but that's not the case. So I think You may have to, so I hope you see it. And actually, I was mistaken. Do you see this one? This bolt right there. Try to light it up for you. Right there. That's what I'm going to use to tighten the belt. I was mistaken. It looked like it was loose. It was actually not loose. That's how it's designed. It just has a little shoulder. So let's put this belt on. So figure out how it goes. I believe this goes like that. That is way too long. Just want to make sure that that's how it actually goes. Well, it can't go any other way. It has to go like that. Which means we haven't even started. We're already going to have to loosen the magical bolt. Oh, this moves more. That's right. No, that's not going to work. So, I'm going to have to loosen that bolt, which, if I remember correctly, it had a place where it slides to on the inside. No, I can't get it. You have to raise the car, loosen that bolt, put the belt, place the car, tighten the bolt. Hopefully the belt will be tight. So let's do that. Let's go up. Let's see if I can even see it. Oh yeah, I got a good access to it right here. This one. So if I loosen this one, that's actually the opposite of what I want. I want to tighten it so I can pull this pulley out and give me more space. That was actually not bad. Oh, I guess they thought about it, but now the pulley is gonna hit. Yep, pulley's hitting right there. So let me see if that gives me enough space to put my, not even close. How about we try something else? Do this, and that's the same thing. This is going to be interesting, because that's maxed out. It's hitting the thing, and I can't really get it on, not even close. Close. There we go. Whew. That was interesting. Now, I gotta remember, we gotta loosen this bolt to tighten the belt. Do we? Yes, we do. Because when I loosen the bolt, it's gonna push the pulley that way. And if my upside down brain is correct, that's gonna work. Let me try to, we're gonna loosen to tighten. This is gonna be able to reach it. I might. That'll be really nice if I can able to. Alright, second attempt. Not giving up yet. Yeah, I think it's time to give up. Time to give up and do this. We wanna loosen it to tighten the belt. So, see how the pulley is moving in as I loosen it? It's a very strange setup. Belt's getting tight. You're a little bit more. I'm worried about this clearance right here. That's very good. That's not going anywhere. So now to lock it in place, so I was mistaken. I stand corrected. People that put the belt can forgive me, please. You were right. Tighten this guy. Locks it in place. And you see how the bolt's still sticking out? Because it actually has a shoulder on the inside that holds it there. It's like a backwards pulley. I hope that makes sense. If you never dealt with this style pulley, it's not going to make sense. Kind of a strange one for Toyota. They don't usually use designs like that. But hey, it works. and it works pretty good. Now, do you see somewhere in this vicinity my next nightmare? Yes, that's gonna be the next nightmare. But the $1,000,000 question right now is, Jose, where are the hoses, Jose? I'll tell you where the hoses are. They're in the car. Just lower the car, get the hoses, raise it up, and we'll start this fight. Last fight, I'm hoping. So this is the new hose. It has to go all the way up there. Now, if the turbo is not there, we would just connect it and we're good, but it is. So with a silicone spray, hopefully it'll help us install this without a major fight. We're gonna find out. That is actually a lot better than I thought it was gonna be. Okay, I think we're good. That's all the way in. It's gonna sit at the radiator. A little bit too close for my liking here, but I have no choice. That's how this thing is with the turbo kit. So now the second battle, just getting the hose clamp to sit. I love this style clamp, but in situations like this, I don't. Okay, that was plan A, B, C, D, and W, all exhausted. Let's use the proper tool for once. See if that helps us get it a little closer. It's closer, but unfortunately, this is such a tiny clamp. Let's see if that's a good position for it. Yes, I like that. You guys see that? That looks great right here. I like that a lot. That is good. Well, I want to say it, but I don't want to say it. It's time to look at a brand new radiator. It's just a beautiful radiator. Let's make some space for it. Let's get the old disgusting radiator in so we can swap stuff off of it. Let's get the brand new one. Now I did have to open this box to make sure, because this thing has been across the world, to check it for damage. Here it is. Beautiful original radiator. You know what the best part is? Comes with the radiator cap. That's the best part. Now this one is slightly different than the other one because this is for an automatic. They actually don't make the manual one anymore because they figured this fits. You're just not going to use these. So we're not going to use these two ports. We're just going to leave them closed like that. But now we have to swap this rubber grommets. And swap the fan. We actually have a sensor to swap as well. There we go. It should be free. Does it fit? Yes, it does. Like a glove. I love it. Because I'm always nervous about these because technically this is not the correct part number for it. Because this is for an automatic, but it works. All right, I think that's all we need. Oh, no, don't get too excited. We're not even there. We have to see this one, which I believe is a 19, this sensor. Yes, it is. The old school way of Toyota. Putting the sensor right there. You know what? Not terrible. Sludgy, but not terrible. I think the sensor will live another day. Some of these sensors are extremely difficult to find, and that's the problem with them. Gonna install it. Okay, tiny little snug. There we go. So what I love about the original radiator, it even comes with this hose. This little drain hose. Except this one is new and this one is disgusting. So the only difference between these two radiators is this one is closed here. See, it even have the indent for it. See, if you run into this, you could just get a radiator for an automatic model. They're exactly the same, just they have the cooler. Some will argue that they'll have less cooling because that takes space. Well, if you have no choice, you have no choice. It's either this or put this radiator back, which we are not going to do. So this radiator is going back into this car. Now before we put the radiator, I want to put this dipstick, but if you remember, which I didn't, the O-ring broke. So we didn't order it. Let me go look through the parts bin, see if I can find an O-ring that works, because these are basically the same. Look up the part number, find which one, and we'll get going. So I found the O-ring. This is just, we usually have these O-rings. We do so many of them. This is a little tiny O-ring. Give it a little help. And it goes right there. There it is. Couple bolts, kind of a strange setup there. I'm actually gonna change the oil because I think we were filming the first or second episode. I was looking here and I'm like, wait, we've been cleaning all this and coolant came down here and all kinds of stuff. Some of it might have went in there, so we're gonna change the oil, not take chances here. So we're gonna do that when we put the bottom stuff of the radiator on. Hey, the oil was clean. That's good. I think it's official. I think we can put our radiator back on now and start wrapping this up. This project is done. All right. Did that just do that? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. All that work to get it lined up. I guess these sponges that they put from the factory, only the factory radiators will have that. These kind of direct airflow. They're not entirely required, especially since the original radiator didn't have them. That was interesting to see. Hey. Okay. Cooler for, yeah, that goes this way. This cools sends some air into the fuse block. Let's get it out. Okay. Now I think we are at a point we can put our PCV hose, although this one I'm going to come back and replace it because see, this one is completely ripped. So here's what you do if you temporarily want these going. And unfortunately we're going to have to do this because these hoses are not here yet. definitely need it. Put some tape around the tip of it just to help it. Of course, this does need replacement. I'm not gonna run a hose. I can get hoses that, you know, universal or whatnot, but this is literally on the way. So I'm gonna do this just to help it not have a massive vacuum leak for now. Another thing I do to help it is put the clamp already. There it is. For now, this will do until I get these replaced. Told you this is the beauty of working with gray imports. Now I can put our beautiful cover on, which I have been waiting to do this for a while. Yes. Before we do, get all excited. Remember I told you about this connector being the way it is? Here's what you do if you got a connector that's broken and you can't really get it. I'll have Jose come from the other side so you guys can see it close up. If you put the zip tie trick, it's great until you have to take it out again and then you're stuck. So here's what you do. Got your connector in. Put sealer right at the tip. Now remember, this is sealer, this is not glue. So when you go back one day and you want to take this out, all you do is just grab this connector, pull it. It'll break that seal and it'll come out. But vibration will not get it out because it needs a hard pull to break that seal. But it's not glue, so you can take it out. Let's install our beautiful cover here. So I have been waiting since we pulled it out to reinstall it. It's just, I love this. This just looks beautiful. This was unfortunately missing a bolt, which I'll try to get one, but I don't think if I'll be successful because these are kind of a specialty bolts. I'm going to actually try to order one out of a 2J, see if it works. Now I intentionally did not put my oil cap on because we have a small treat I was able to find. See, this cap has a gasket and I was able to find it. How about that? Always replace these folks. They're a few bucks and look how hard this guy is. So I'm literally gonna have to extract it, and they love to. You'll create a lot of leaks from this guy. Because remember, I mean, I can't even get it off. I hope we don't end up breaking this. Oh my God, this thing is like a rock. That's definitely not sealing anything. Yep, just broken in half. Do you see that? How it's breaking in half? These are the common forgotten stuff. You do all the work to stop the oil leaks, and then you forget this. Oil vapor from the PCB has nowhere else to go. It's gonna start oozing out of here. That is not sealing anything. This is, and always you see like this side is flat and this side has like a couple grooves in it. That's the side that goes towards the engine. There we go. This one now is ready to go back. Beautiful. This, been wanting to give this a clean since we started. That's, things have to happen at the right time. Although if the customer decides to leave this car here for the PCB hoses, this is coming right off in a few days, but it's okay. Let's get the last hose on, and then we'll lift it up, get the rest of the stuff at the bottom. So that's everything with the cooling system done, except there is one thing left. This ugly thing. That's it. Right here. I really don't want to use this, but this looks pretty important. It's a coolant temperature sensor. So the clamps that I had, that they have cut the hose and put this. Clamps they've used, we're not talking good things to me. So I actually ordered some clamps. That'll come tomorrow. But for now, our purposes for this part of the video, let's fully assemble this car, have it ready. You guys will see it driving in a little bit. For us, it'll be the next day, but for you, it'll be a few moments. Let's finish up the last little details. Let's put the hot air intake on. I really dislike these. This is just don't do that to your car. It's not my car, but I'll have a talk with the owner. At whatever that filter is. Let's find the brand. Let me tighten this clamp. What is the brand of this guy? Trust. Actually, this is a known brand, by the way. Well, I have really a hard time trusting a brand when their name is Trust. Usually, yeah. Anyways, Trust is a good brand. I have to say that in case somebody comes out and says that. But with the last bolt. So I'm gonna put a worm clamp here because that's what was here. But remember, this is part of that PCV hose that I am replacing. I'm just gonna put it on so we can run the car tomorrow. That we get these. Okay, that's good. Well, that's everything under the hood. I just want to say one thing. Very serious stuff. This is what tuners don't know what they're up to. Just look at this. They put this little, and again, this is not a thing against the owner. The owner didn't do this. He just bought it like this. Put this little, what looks to me like a dryer vent, just to direct air somewhere. Oh, here it is. Here's the end of the dryer vent. So it direct air from here to here. The hottest part of the car. This is right here. This is an area that gets no airflow and all the heat just goes to the side and it just sits there. You want to do this properly, which is what the OEM filter housings do. Take this, take it down, and this filter ends up right here. Then we are not a hot air intake. Just gotta say that. Let's put it up. Let's get the last little details done. Put the last radiator hose on. Just gotta make sure we don't have any. You know, you put a hose, just make sure it doesn't touch anything, especially the belt. Just over to the sides. Yeah, that's done. And last but not least is this connector for this sensor. That's it. Now the car is officially done, but I want to do one more thing. I'm gonna change the oil because I don't like that the dipstick was open like that when we were cleaning and doing all kinds of stuff. I'd feel more comfortable if we change the oil. The oil that we were going to drain out of this, I think is going to be brand new, but still, we may have some coolant in it, at least a small trace. Yeah, that's not new oil. I just state that for the record there. That doesn't look very happy. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad we're doing this. Yeah, it looks horrible. So, according to this is an N1 filter, and I have that in stock. While this thing drains, I'm actually gonna go and verify that that is the case. I just have a feeling it's not. So it was an N1 verified. That is the correct filter for this car. I still wager that this filter has been here for a while. Looking at this oil. Well, Yeah, I don't think this is a fresh oil change. Let's put it this way. You know, I am gonna close it now because the oil that is draining right now is actually, that's the turbo. I don't want it to fully drain. So if you come see here, this is the return line of the turbo, and it goes right here. By gravity is gonna bleed down, and we don't want that. We don't want to start this car with a fully dry turbo. Already starting to clean here. We're gonna spend an eternity cleaning this oil leak because this thing was leaking everywhere. So I'm not gonna bore you with that. Gotta give her a few more seconds. Let's give her some space. Well, I think we are done. All right. This is gonna need a lot more cleaning than what I just did right here. So here's the plan. For you guys, it'll be a little bit, just a few seconds. We'll talk about a couple things here. For us, it'll be the next day or maybe the day after, depends how things go. Gonna add oil. Gonna wait for those clamps to show up. Gonna cut that hose, which I really don't want to do that, but we have to return the car to how it was. Fill up with coolant, and we're gonna take it for a drive. So next shot for you guys, it'll be taken for a drive. But before that, I told you one thing that I was gonna do. The way I was able to get the torque specs is from a book that I bought. And God bless this company because they're really helping us with some of the gray imports that we have no access to a manual. This is not a sponsor. I feel like every time, I just got a small rant coming up. Every time you show something on a video, it's like, oh, it's a sponsor, it's this and that. I don't work like that. I see something I like, I give people the credit for it. It's a company called JPNZ Manual. So they basically, I'm assuming this is Japan, New Zealand. I see their flag. They basically take the Japanese manual and translate it for us here. So this is the manual. If you're this company watching though, I'll say one thing. They say here some parts of the manual has been kind of changed. So the translation of the original Japanese version with some material removed and other material added. Don't do the removed part, please, because basically all they gave you for this entire Altezza engine mechanical is the timing belt and the head gasket. What about the rest? You just remove the entire thing. Hey, huge credit to them because stuff like this just don't exist. So for you guys, it'll be a few seconds. For us, it'll be a few days. Let's go take it for a drive. And the Altezza is done. Not quite, but we'll talk about it. Let's go for a first test drive. Whatever you say there, young lady. Starts. Let's take it for a drive. It's a little on the colder side, so we're gonna take it easy first. I'm just gonna close the shop door. There we go. Shop door is cooperating today. Before, as it warms up, let's talk about a few things here. I don't know if this is original, which I don't think so. This says trust. Yes, we shall trust. Let's remember the interior tour of it. It's exactly the same as the IS300, just has cloth seats and everything is exactly the same. This has one of those like stays down so you can drift with it, I guess. And then during the bleeding, we discovered that this car has a fan controller because the fan all of a sudden came on and it would just stay on. This dealio right here, you can actually control When does the fan, now I forgot how to control it. You can control, I think maybe this one. Oh, here we go, yes. Low and high, you can change at what temperature does the fan come on. That's pretty cool. This thing is, I think, some kind of tollway thing for Japan. Not really sure. If you know, if you do know, you can confirm. There's a few gauges. This gauge works, but you have to give it a little bit of help. There we go. Now it's not working. Now it's working. It just kind of flickers. He wants to remove these. I agree. It's like we have temperature gauge here, temperature gauge here, temperature gauge on the car. It's like a little excessive. This is the boost gauge right here, and there's some kind of information thing and whatever this is. I don't know what that is. Then there's the Tom steering wheel with the little button in the middle. That's pretty cool. It's I want to say there's a lot to be excited about the interior, but it's exactly the same as the IS300. With that, let's take it for a drive. So this is a 6-speed manual transmission with reverse all the way and up, and all Japanese domestic cars beep when you're in reverse. But we're going to take it slow initially until it warms up a little bit. Pretty quiet. It's not super loud, the exhaust. This has a really nice tone to it outside. Very smooth manual transmission. The clutch, it's decent, a little bit on the aggressive side. I don't think it is a stock clutch. I think it's upgraded because it just feels a little bit more aggressive than usual. While we go here, we haven't visited the Tesla graveyard in a while, which is no longer a graveyard. I guess, I don't know, Tesla drivers learn how to drive finally, or the more realistic side of it is they're getting better about their parts, so cars are not sitting and sitting and sitting, which is good for the people that own them. Let's take this for a drive. And there's a full disclaimer. This car has a small problem, which we've already discussed with the owner, which is, listen to that sound. I don't want to push it. Once it warms up, we'll push it a little bit, you'll hear it. Listen to this sound. It's the coolest JDM sound in the planet. You see it in the movies and everything. That sound is the slow destruction of the turbo. This car doesn't have a bypass valve, or it doesn't have what we call a BOV valve, blow-off valve, that when you close the throttle body, that pressure is sitting there. It bypasses it back to the inlet. It doesn't have that. So that sound is that cool sound you hear in the movies, you hear in the tuners and all that, and this one does. That's actually really not good, because basically what is making that sound is every time you let go of the throttle and the throttle body closes, that pressure that's there literally just slams the turbo to stop it. And that's stuff that's called the turbo flutter. That's what we call that. Alright, we can go. That sound. Now we are, listen to it. That's not a good sound. You have a turbo car that makes that. That's not a very good sound. One thing I'll say about this is, I think, why the IS300 is very desirable. It is, I don't want to say it's fast. This particular one is not super fast. Neither is the IS300. It's its stock form. But it handles great. But at the same time, it's not rough and jarring. It's actually decently quiet for its age. And it's fun. It handles decent. It's not on rails or anything. So it's a car that you can have fun with, but at the same time, you can use it daily. It drives good. It's well made. It's a nice, even though this is older, it's a nice place to be in, comfortable. Not the biggest car on the planet. And that's what's nice about these. But you know what's the nicest thing about this is? After all the, I don't want to call them struggles. It was kind of we can't put the struggles on the customer because we are not super familiar with this engine. But after all the work we did on it, usually with when you work on cars, the best part is the test drive. When you go test drive the car you worked on and everything is good, we don't have any issues except seeing out the window because this is a right-hand drive car in the US. But it's the pleasure of driving the car, except when you hear that sound, and that's not a happy sound. So here's where we're at with this car. I was all ready to deliver this car back to the customer yesterday, actually. We got the PCV hoses, I installed them, we went great, until I was installing the last hose, which is the one that goes to the side of the valve cover, and the PCV valve decided to break. You know, initially we were thinking, because I saw some strange markings on the PCV valve, I was thinking there was a special PCV valve with the turbo kit. Turns out it's not. It's just an OEM regular PCV valve, nothing special about it. So one is on order. Today is Friday, and yes, it has been one of these weeks. So I'm glad it's Friday. It's family day tomorrow. So PCV valve should be here Wednesday. Pretty much after that, the car is done. We already cleaned it. Already test drove it multiple times to make sure everything's good. Did the final little things. Interestingly enough, this car has like a fuel management system or some kind of piggyback system that controls it because of the turbo. So when we started it, it was idling solid at 1200 RPM. I mean, even when it warmed up, it was 1200 RPM, and I was starting to get concerned. Like, do we have a vacuum leak somewhere? So after a little while, all of a sudden, it just dropped from 1200 to 500 RPM, like immediate, not something that was like, okay. Then every time you rev it, it just dies out. Oh, what's going on here? Apparently, it took this computer a while to relearn everything because we had the battery disconnected. Because we took it for the first test drive, and every time you let go of the gas, it wants to die out. It's like I was starting to get really concerned. But then all of a sudden, it just started idling wonderful. Throttle body is clean. That was the first thing actually I was concerned about. Looked at everything else was good. Why is it doing that? But no, it was just needed some time to learn. But that is the Altezza. If you are the owner of this car, first I want to say beautiful car. Second, thank you so much for trusting us to work on this car. It's been an absolute joy to check it out, work on it, and learn a thing or two. Unfortunately, I have to say that this happens a lot in the mechanics world. When you learn a car like this and you kind of are like, okay, now we are a lot more familiar with them. Next time, we're going to be able to get this done a lot more efficiently and know ahead of time what to anticipate and whatnot. But the next one will probably be 10 years from now, and we would have forgotten all about it. So it happens all the time in the mechanics world. Last thing I wanted to tell you guys, because some of you in a previous video when we worked or talked about a JDM car with the right-hand drive, how is it like to drive a right-hand drive car in the US? See, most folks will look at this and be concerned about the manual transmission being on this side of the car and that being completely different. Well, that sound is cool, but it's not good. Here's the truth. The manual transmission, right-hand drive, if you're used to left-hand drive, that's not the hard part. That's actually very simple, at least to me. It's the turn signal situation that you do get used to. But the thing that is hard to get used to is centering in your lane. Like Jose, if you turn the camera and show them, you are used to hug the lane on your left. When you drive a right-hand drive car, you have a tendency of doing this deal and scaring your passenger. You start driving in the middle because your brain is programmed to hug the middle, the left side of the lane, not the right side. So you have to constantly remind yourself, hug the right lane, hug the right lane. And here's the best part. If you drive one for long enough, you're gonna kind of get used to it, and then you get in a left-hand car drive and you start doing the opposite. This plays a little bit of a mind trick with you, but that's how that works. Well, I think we are at 85 degrees Celsius. This car is fully warmed up. What does this gauge say? This gauge says completely different temperature. That's okay. Yeah, we can push it a little bit. Sounds pretty good. It's not the loudest in the planet. It's not the fastest in the planet, but it's definitely faster than, say, an IS300 with a non-turbo 2J. But it just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just an awesome car. It just feels nimble, feels small, feels light on its feet. That's the beauty of these. Folks, this has been an absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoyed this series. We have more series like this planned. Actually, the next one like this will be the Toyota Century. We're going to dive into the V12. There's no going back. So folks, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a good day. I know I will, because I got to still drive this back, and it's awesome to drive.